Well, hello and welcome to the Trusted Podcast. I'm Blake Johnson, your host as always, and glad that you're listening in today. Got a great program for you. We have Chad Willardson from Pacific Capital, who is on the show today. He's the owner and founder of Pacific Capital. He's also the city treasurer for Corona, California, and he's also an entrepreneur. Got a couple of different ventures he's worked on, and most recently, he just released his new book, Stress-Free Money. And so we're going to talk about all those things today. So Chad, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
All right. Why don't you start off giving me a little bit of background about yourself and a little bit about your firm and what makes you guys the trusted experts in your field?
So I majored in economics, and I spent 9 years working at Merrill Lynch Wealth Management and worked my way up there and really got a lot of great experience working for a huge investment bank, and then in all areas of investment management and wealth management. And at some point, it really became almost like a tug of war, where the big investment bank and the bureaucracy and kind of the quotas and the shareholder driven decisions inside the bank was pulling one of my arms, and then what was right for the clients or the advice they really needed or wanted was pulling my other arm. And so it was kind of like I felt stretched, and especially after the Great Recession in 2008, 2010, huge changes in our industry. The banks were getting bailouts and restructuring everything. And so I just felt a great need to give clients an opportunity to get totally independent fiduciary advice. So I left the big bank in 2011 and started Pacific Capital. And so we are a fiduciary wealth advisory firm for entrepreneurs and families. We're based in Southern California, and we've got a Newport Beach office and a Corona office, and we serve clients all over. We've actually, not too long ago, got a client in the Netherlands, and there's some potential clients in Switzerland that we're working on right now, but we've got clients all over the States. I think what makes us different is we are a entrepreneurial fiduciary firm that serves entrepreneurs. So we see things from the perspective of that they do, because I own businesses, I own real estate. I've been in the trenches. I'm not giving financial advice from a manual or from a training meeting. I'm actually giving advice. Like I eat my own cooking. And what also makes us different is that we are a fiduciary. And in the financial world, financial advice, that's really big. So I'm sure we'll be able to dive into that a little bit later, but that's a big part of the book as well.
Yeah, and I think anytime you have a professional that you're getting advice from, if they've done what you're looking to do, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Especially, I think, from an investment standpoint, most investment guys, they say, well, yeah, of course, just invest in the stock market because that's all they can do. But if you're saying, no, you can do all these other things because I've done these other things, and it's part of your overall approach, I definitely think that's something that sets you guys apart.
That's a good point, because I don't think that people should only invest in the stock market. Even though I'm an investment advisor by trade, you need to be spread out into a lot of things that we don't personally manage for you. So you should have some real estate investments. You should have putting money back into your own business to grow that. And so I think people really appreciate us giving them the straightforward advice. We're not just trying to look out for ourselves. We're a fiduciary. We're looking out what's best for them. So we're going to look at the whole picture and give advice on everything, pros and cons, upside and downside. And we're going to actually tell you what makes the most sense for you, regardless of whether it's good for our firm. And that's what a real fiduciary does.
Yeah. I think I try to do my practice the same way. Is it'd be one thing if I was telling you to do a trust and I didn't have a trust myself. That
Right.
I don't think that would work out well. But it's also with the business owners. I own my own practice. I've done other business ventures, so I can tell you what it's like to start a company and what forms you need and what stuff you can do on your own. So
Right.
I think that's one of the main reasons we have the podcast, is so you can get people like that who really understand those different aspects of it. So
I like
definitely
it.
appreciate it. Why do you do what you do? I mean, what motivates you to I mean, you talked a little bit about you wanting to do what's best for the client, but why
Yeah.
do you really, start your own firm and do what you do?
I love to see the mindset transformation when people realize that financial freedom is possible for them. I see most people are anxious, stressed, overwhelmed, intimidated by a lot of the money decisions. Just think of 2020. We've got coronavirus stuff, we've got a big election, we've got all kinds of natural disasters. There's just a lot of uncertainty and chaos out there. And so when people think about their money, they do feel a lot of anxiety. They do feel stressed. They feel like, where do I turn for good advice? And they're often misled or they're intimidated to go to a professional. And I understand that the trust level is very low in my industry. And so I love seeing the mindset transformation where people feel that burden lifted and are able to really succeed and thrive without all that stuff that used to weigh them down. And that's not only why I started Pacific Capital, but that's why I wrote the book that's why it's called Stress Free Money. It's about overcoming the top 7 obstacles to find financial freedom. And I love seeing people get to that stage where they no longer worry about money and they just do what they love to do.
So let's talk about the book then. Really briefly, what are those 7 obstacles? Just so we have a list of them.
Yeah, so I'll hold it up here for you. How about
There
that?
we go.
The 7 obstacles. So the first one is what we find is most common is no clear goals. Okay, so most people come in and they don't have clear goals. And if you don't have clear goals, there's nowhere to start. You don't know where to start if you don't know where you're going. So imagine packing for a vacation, but you don't know where you're going on vacation and you don't know when you're leaving. You don't know what you're going to do when you get there, and you don't know, anything about the place, your destination. That's what it's like for most people financially. They come in and they don't have a clear destination. So number 1 is no clear goals. Number 2 is financial fast food, and that's really about the easy, convenient, unhealthy consumption of the news. Number 3 is focusing on the wrong number. So people are overly focused on the ROI of their investment account, or maybe just the account balance. And so, excuse me, I really talk about what to focus on instead of just those things that most people get distracted by. Number 4 is biased advice from financial salespeople. So I really talk about your typical insurance agent or a financial advisor at a bank or an investment company versus a fiduciary and what the actual differences are. Number 5 is the F word. My mom hates this chapter, but I keep telling her the F word is about fees. So it's not totally a bad word. She's like, why did you have to put that in there? But I said, Mom, it's called a hook. So the F word is really about fees and how to control your costs when it comes to investing or financial advice. Number 6 is taking on too much risk or not enough. We just had a meeting an hour and a half ago with someone who had significant amount of money just sitting at the bank. In 2020 right now, you're earning 0.01%. That's not taking any risk. That's the risk is you're losing value. So we talk about getting too aggressive, and I share stories of people who blew a lot of money on bad risk and then also not taking enough risk, not growing. And the last chapter, chapter 7, is letting your feelings get in the way. So I share some good real life stories of investors and people who've just made money decisions where emotions got in the way. And I think that happens a lot. So that kind of sums up the 7 topics.
There's a lot that I want to cover, and I don't think we have enough time during the show to go through all that. So
Yeah.
I'm going to pick a couple of topics to dive deeper in. So I think the biggest one is the fiduciary one. So let's start with that.
Yeah.
I worked at Northwestern Mutual before I went to law school, so I've
Oh,
been
there you
on
go.
that side of the drinking your own Kool-Aid and whatnot. That's not to say that it's a bad company. It's
Nope.
they're a company in the business of making money, and so what we were incentivized to do was we sold for the company what the company told us we could sell.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily what the client may have been for the best interest of the client.
And there's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with the big banks or the big insurance companies or the people that work there that are selling. There's nothing wrong with that. I just feel that people should know and understand the difference of who's giving them advice. So you should know, in this case, do I need a fiduciary advisor, or am I best served by going to an agent who works, or a sales rep who works at a specific firm? So what happens is most people think they're getting fiduciary, comprehensive, more open architecture advice, when really they are just looking at, um, they're just looking at one specific menu from one specific company. So a fiduciary advisor is going to tell you the pros and cons. They're going to give you the straight story. They're going to give you the upside, the downside. You're going to know the transparent cost. There's not going to be hidden costs. Fiduciaries don't earn commissions from investment trades or investment advice. And so really, I think you want to find someone who succeeds when you succeed. And no one should be winning at your expense. And so less than 5 or 6% of financial professionals are fiduciaries. And I think most people in the public have no idea. They don't know the difference.
Yeah, I think that's very important. The other thing I want to talk about is the feelings one, because I think that emotions and you talked about mindset before. The switch of mindset makes a big difference in any aspect of life, but I think for sure with money. So let's talk about some examples of feelings and how do you not let feelings rule what you want to do.
So feelings and emotions are they really affect your financial decision making abilities. If you think back to someone, let's say, excuse me, buying their first house, and they fall in love with this house in this neighborhood, and once they've got their feelings so attached to that house, it doesn't matter that it's really overpriced, that it has termite issues, that it's got some broken pipes, and the seller is unwilling to fix any of that. It doesn't matter anymore, because once your feelings are involved, you're so committed that you're going to make the financial decision anyways. And so what I see is it's very easy for people to get caught up in how they feel about the investment. So if they worked at a company and they got company stock, they have like this emotional attachment to that stock and they want to hold it. Even though it might be losing money, they feel like, well, I work there, it's certainly going to come back because it's such a great place. I have so many memories there. So a lot of times we get caught up in the feelings, and the greed and the fear are the two main feelings that cause a lot of issues. Here's a quote by Nick Murray. Investing is the age-old, never-ending emotional battle between fear of the future and faith in the future. So right now people are worried about, they may have strong feelings about the presidential election, and they may say, well, if so-and-so wins, I'm going to sell all my investments and I'm just going to back out and wait on the sidelines. And that's letting your feelings get in the way of a sound financial plan. So many mistakes. I mean, I have a lot of examples of people who got caught up in maybe the hype or the hysteria of an investment idea and jumped on a fad. Bitcoin is a good example where people felt it was going to go up to 100,000 within the next few months a few years ago, and here they are sucked into watching on their app and checking the price every 5 minutes. And we often just let our feelings block sound long-term financial decisions. And so that's definitely an issue.
Well, and I think that example right there just epitomizes the opposite of the stress-free money. You might have enough financial resources, but you are not financially free because you are so worried about what that thing's going to do. You're looking at your phone, you're connected, and you're hooked on that. That's not financial freedom. That's not being stress-free. So I think that's kind of the epitome of what not to do in
Right.
that regard.
Yeah, if you can't get it off your mind and you're distracted and you're neglecting other things because you're so caught up in it, you're not stress-free at all.
I think a part of that too, this is where I see it the most, is with business owners. They can't let go of the control. They can't let go of what the business used to be, whether it's pivoting to a new market or whatever the case may be, is have you had any experience in that regard in helping clients to, release some of the business stuff so they can really enjoy the other parts of the financial freedom the business gave them?
Yes, our goal is really to help business owners succeed. And so we look at not only from a financial perspective, but the goal is that they are freed up from things and freed up to things. So we're going to look at, what are you freed up from? All the different activities in your business or your personal life that drain you, that aren't the best use of your time. Like, what are your highest impact activities as a business owner? What are your $1,000 an hour activities that you can focus on and delegate everything else? So you need to get your financial life and your business life and your personal life in order to where you're spending time on the most impactful things. And so in a family, that might be, you know, taking your kids to practice and spending time with them, maybe your best impact activity. It may not be mowing the lawn. It may not be cleaning the pool. Those are things you could outsource. Those are lower impact, lower value activities that you can afford to outsource. And similar in your business, there are a lot of things that you're doing as a business owner that you could probably delegate and outsource that would free you up to do bigger and better things.
Oh, for sure. It's funny. My dad's the epitome of what not to do on this as well. He's got an office building and he still cleans it every Saturday, and he's almost 60 years old because he won't pay somebody to do it. And it's like, Dad, think of all the great things you could do on a Saturday, or he has to go in early Monday because he went out of town that weekend, and
Right.
I cannot convince him to change his mindset on that. And I think the area I see this a lot is with people making the transition to retirement. They've been savers and penny pinchers their whole life,
Right.
and now they're in retirement and they have more than enough to live off of, but they won't enjoy it. They won't go take that cruise or go see the grandkids more often because they're so worried about, what if they're going to have enough money, even though they have more than enough resources. What are some things that people can do to help make sure they don't get locked into that? And then if they already are, can they transition out of that?
I've seen that before. I met a couple probably 2004, 2005, and they had a few $1 million and they had no debt, pensions, Social Security, all these different sources of income. And his wife wanted to replace their 1973 carpet, and he wouldn't do it. And it was literally like $4,000 probably at most. And, this is a couple with lots of money coming in every month, no worries about it. It is difficult sometimes to get past our fixed mindset of what we can and can't afford. So I'd say there's a balance. If you're meeting your goals, you should be enjoying life. You shouldn't be scrimping and saying, well, I'll be happy when I'm 70. I'm going to save every penny and I'm not going to do anything enjoyable because I'm not allowed to yet until I reach XYZ in income or I reach this level of net worth. That's not a stress-free mindset either. So I think once you have your priorities in place and you've got a plan, you're prepared for no matter what happens. You've got a lot of financial things in place. You've got your estate planning set up. You've got your insurance protection, your investment accounts, your taxes are being managed. All that's going well. You certainly should make space for enjoying yourself. And I try to help people take that fixed mindset out and say, you know what? What's the best use of your time? Nothing's guaranteed. So I would talk to your dad and say, just like you're saying, let's find the best and most fulfilling and enjoy. And maybe he loves doing that. Maybe he loves the office, but
maybe.
What are the best ways you can use your time and use your money?
Yeah, and I think just as the caveat, the lawyer in me wants to put the caveat. That doesn't mean go spend all your money.
No.
Don't be frivolous with it.
Of course.
No, make sure you have your stuff in place and things are going well. And like you said, hitting your goals, then you can go do X, Y, and Z. So,
right. Right.
That's just the attorney in me having to make sure we put that in there.
I agree. Yeah, don't go blow your money. You got to have a plan. You've got to be on track. Be smart about it. So there's two extremes. There's blowing everything, and then there's not living at all, and it's like spending nothing. So there's a middle ground for sure.
Yeah. All right. Give me your top two warnings for people when they're investing or making big money decisions.
Top two warnings. I would say number one is investing before you have a game plan. That's a huge no-no. It's like, it's like going out on the field and you have literally no game plan. You don't know who's playing, what players are going to be on the field, what positions they're playing, who your opponent is. Like, you've got nothing set up. You're just rolling the ball out there. I mean, you've got to have a game plan first. So successful investing is goal focused and planning driven. Unsuccessful investing is more focused on like the market outlook, or what a reaction to what's happening, or what are the news headlines today. Well, that maybe we should do this then because this is what I heard today. So investing without having a goal based plan, a strategy in place, with a fiduciary advisor preferably. And there are many great fiduciary advisors all over. I think that's first and foremost. Secondly, I would say stay committed in times of high stress. So a big part of my job is persuading people to stay committed and make good decisions during times of high stress. So it's create a great plan that's personal to you and stay committed during times of high stress. Those are the two things that will lead you to success for sure.
Okay. How does someone go about finding a qualified and trusted fiduciary?
I think, Google or LinkedIn. I don't know. I feel like there's not some website of just fiduciary only advisors, but I think when you find a good fiduciary, you'll know, because their meetings will feel different. Their conversation will be different than what you're used to in speaking to a financial person who's trying to just sell you an insurance policy or sell you an investment fund.
Is there
It'll
like
feel
a
very
website or a designation they should have that shows they're actually a fiduciary instead of working for a different
Yeah.
firm?
Certified financial fiduciary is definitely one to look for. Certified financial fiduciary. So, certified financial planner is a good designation. I have some team members who have that, but that doesn't mean you're a fiduciary. So you could work at XYZ bank and still be a certified financial planner, but really you're a glorified sales rep who got a designation. So I think certified financial fiduciary is a great one because you've gone through some training and you have to be a fiduciary to get that. So
Okay, good. All right. Because we met through and connected through LinkedIn, I want to touch briefly just on how can people use LinkedIn effectively for growing their business? Because we have a lot of business owners on here. So what are some key things that you've done that have helped you to have success with that?
LinkedIn is, I think, the most powerful platform today for business growth. The majority of our new clients come from either personal referrals or through LinkedIn. I'd say you just have to be your true self on there. I mean, I know that probably sounds cliche, but I don't post a lot of business. I definitely don't post technical things on there. Once in a while, this morning I published an article, but I rarely do that. I usually post real ideas and thoughts that I think of on the spot, and I post consistently. So I share things every day there. And it took a while. I think I probably have 30,000 followers now, and I get a lot of good engagement, and I've met a lot of awesome people through LinkedIn, but it didn't happen overnight. So I remember I was posting and sharing, and maybe 100, 200 people viewed it, whereas most of my posts now will get 20,000 to 60,000 views, and it just took a lot of consistency and time and engaging in the platform. But you can really connect with people who can help you or can help your clients, and I feel like LinkedIn is a great place to be for sure. It's not just for looking for new jobs, because I haven't looked for a new job, so had a lot of success there.
Yeah, and what I find interesting there is I feel like that's a very similar approach to your financial planning is being consistent, having a
True.
plan, making
Yep.
sure you execute. So, you practice what you preach, even in things that don't relate to money. So I find that, pretty cool.
Good observation.
All right. We're just about done. So how can people best connect with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn is a place. I'm maxed out on connections at 30,000, so you can follow me there. I engage in it and share there. PacificCapital.com. That's our website. That's where you can, if you want to schedule a free conversation, it's called a goals conversation. There's calls to action on our website, and then feel free to buy the book. It's available on Amazon, Kindle, hardcover, paperback. It's a pretty simple read, 140 pages. One of my younger sisters even said, "Chad, I actually liked your book."
That's impressive from a
She
younger
said it
sister.
just like that. She's like, "I actually liked it, Chad. I read it and I wasn't bored at all. It was really interesting. Lots of cool stories and ideas that I could understand." So,
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll try to find the link for the show notes to post that so it's easy to find for our listeners. Anything else you think we missed that is absolutely critical to the conversation we had today that we didn't get to?
I'd say the one last point I would drive home is that financial freedom and stress-free money is available to everyone. It's not, you don't have to make millions of dollars to get there. I think the myth is, well, if I just get to this next level of income, then I can take a deep breath and I can feel better about my situation. But I've seen people achieve financial freedom through careful planning at very modest levels of income. I've helped people plan who are making 10 to 30 million dollars a year, and they're clients of ours as well. But you don't have to be at that level to reach a very successful and comfortable state of stress-free money. So it's available.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being on the show today, Chad. As always, to our listeners, please like and subscribe. Make sure you're following us so you get the latest content. And then also, please reach out. Let us know who we should have on the show next so we make sure we give content that's relevant to you. So with that, we'll sign it off for now. Till next time, guys.
Thanks for having me.